the Toyota Center, something that the Rockets won't be seeing for a while after tonight. But first things first, Rockets try to take care of business with Juwan Howard, John Barry and company, looking to get to work tonight, heading into their office. And tonight you'll see it right here on FSN. It's the Orlando Magic and Houston Rockets coming your way from the Toyota Center. Bottom of the hour, 7:30 right here on FSN Houston. And not just another night at the office, of course. That's because it's the return of Stevie Franchise. Unfortunately for the Rockets, Tracy McGrady won't get a chance to go against his former team.
No, he won't indeed. T-Mac was in pain all weekend. He's been diagnosed with a strained back and bruising around the spine. The original diagnosis had him out for 3 weeks, but there he was on the court yesterday, at least trying some shots. He's a quick healer, I guess. But for a preview of this show and the very latest on T-Mac, let us get you out to the Toyota Center. Patty Smith is standing by. Patty, what's the latest on T-Mac?
Well, John, the latest is, as you said, he did work out a little bit gingerly yesterday with the Rockets. Today, he worked out away from the team. I did see him a little bit early. He came in for treatment. He obviously won't be in the lineup tonight. But as far as being out for 3 weeks, there's a little bit more hope there. They're actually thinking that he may possibly get a start on this upcoming road trip. We will talk more about Tracy later on in the show.
I wondered what it is like to practice gingerly.
Yeah.
You want to know?
Yeah.
We'll show you.
Okay.
Yesterday, Tracy McGrady gingerly worked out for the ball club, and this is what ginger workout is. Not a whole lot of running, not a whole lot of jumping, just a little bit of shooting, trying to work out the kinks. It was his most activity since straining his back on Friday during practice. He's expected to miss those 3 weeks, like Patty said. Could be less since T-Mac came to town. He's missed just 5 games. The Rockets have a losing record in those games, as opposed to a 50-29 mark with their leading scorer on the floor.
It's feeling pretty good. That's because I did a lot of work before I came up, so I'm pretty loose. I did a lot of stretching, and I was loose as I was shooting. When I take breaks, when I'm not moving, it stiffens up on me, so it takes me a while to get back going. But this is the first day that I've shot and able to stand straight up.
We got to improve every game. Even in road games when we played, even the preseason, have been pretty good. We just got to continue to grow as a team because we don't have him. So we got to find a new nucleus to put things together with the guys we have on the floor, and then we can take it as the road at home, because as you see, it doesn't work at home. It might not work on the road either.
Back into the FSN Houston studios. Rockets will win with defense. Jeff Van Gundy will see to that, but without T-Mac, they need to find some offense somewhere. In the first 2 games, the shooting percentage is awful, just 39.5%, and their 91 points a game has them ranked 22nd in the league, but let's not knee-jerk. It is just 2 games.
Yeah, but the Rockets tonight looking to go to 2-1 on the season opening homestand as we head to downtown Houston. Join Bill Worrell and Clyde Drexler. Fellas, how you doing tonight?
Rockets desperately in need of a win, Clyde. This is one of those games where even though Tracy McGrady is not playing, you really need to step up. Everybody else has to play big.
Well, everyone else on the team really has to show that they're capable of putting up good numbers on the offensive end. The Rockets are basically a defensive-minded team, but you have to score points on the other end. And we know Yao17p can score, but someone else has to step up, Bill.
Yeah, I think Rafer Alston might be a good candidate because they brought him in here to push that ball, and they need him. They need a little more out of him.
There he is, knocking it in on the jumper. Here he is setting up Juwan Howard for the jumper. And Rafer is a very competent and capable point guard. He can shoot the standstill jumper. He can penetrate, make things happen for his teammates. And I like what he brings to this team night in and night out.
And, of course, he's trying to get adjusted into Jeff's offense, too, so it may take a little while for Rafer to get settled down. Now, he better get settled down tonight because Steve Francis is coming in here, and Steve has something to prove. I think he's still unhappy about being traded.
Well, this will be a little bit different from playing Steve Francis in the preseason as opposed to the regular season. If you look at his numbers there, he's having a pretty successful campaign so far. But keep in mind, the Magic are 0-3. They have yet to win a game. And so this team is a team that's going to come in determined and ready to get off the snide, Bill. They need a victory in tonight's game.
Clyde, we talked about Yao17p and his improvement in the preseason, and his numbers are even better. The only problem is he played more minutes than he's played in a long, long time, and yet he got tired in the final 5 or 6 minutes of that last game.
He got tired, and it really cost the Rockets that game because no one else really stepped up there and played. When you look at Yao's numbers, he's averaging a double-double this season. First time he's done that in his whole NBA career. He had 7 blocks, career high, and he's looking extremely good, Bill. But as you say, if we can keep him out of foul trouble and keep him on the court, I like our chances.
Well, that's one of the things, too, Clyde. As he gets more minutes, he'll get in better shape. And I think that's the thing they got to do. And he missed Tracy, too, because Tracy shares the load down the stretch.
Tracy shares the load, keeps the big load of production off of him so he can rest. And, Tracy does so many things. Everyone on the team misses Tracy McGrady.
Well, the Rockets are hoping they don't stink it up here tonight, John.
Tonight's Lexus keys to the game. The big man Yao Ming averaging 22 points per game in his 6 games against the Orlando Magic. Well, you have to step things up with T-Mac and Street close with that bad back tonight. Yao Ming scored in double figures in 45 consecutive games. Last time he failed to do so, January 17th of 2005. Kevin Eschenfelder, John Radigan, welcome you back to the show as we continue on the way to hoops from the Toyota Center. And it's amazing to think it's been a decade and a half since the days of the Fab Five, one of the absolutely great nicknames of any college basketball group. But, there's one guy that's gone from being a Fab Five to really pretty much a consummate pro.
Yeah, consummate pro who makes a ton of money, and Juwan Howard was missed after being sidelined last year. It's not unusual for an athlete to have to rehabilitate after an injury, a knee, a back, an ankle. But Juwan Howard is coming back from something much more scary. He had a very frightening heart virus last year.
And Tracy McGrady again will fail to get a team to the second round. Of course, not having that man right there really hurts. Juwan Howard.
It was very frustrating to sit there and watch the team play the first round against Dallas. All I kept doing was just reminding myself, of course, that I'm part of this team. I helped this team get to this point. I kept, reminding myself that next year. But at times I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to be out there and help the team win.
But Juwan Howard, especially in this series against Dallas, against Dirk Nowitzki, he really would have helped the Rockets. In a game earlier this year here in Dallas, the Rockets scored 129 points to beat the Mavericks, and in that game, Juwan Howard had 29 points.
It's a good feeling to know that your teammates support you and wanted me to be out there with them throughout that run. And that goes to show you that they had confidence in my ability. But I had the utmost confidence in them, too, sitting there watching. I knew we could beat Dallas without me. But unfortunately, it was a different outcome.
It's over. 116-76.
Now, to this day, I'm healthy. My knee is feeling fine. My heart is great. Not only have I worked very hard with the doctors here in Houston, but the cardiologists, some of the top cardiologists in the country, 3 different ones, and they all, of course, gave me a thumbs up that I'm feeling fine and I got a good bill of health.
I feel great, and I am ready to go and start the season, start a healthy basketball season.
We got a lot of love and a lot of support from a lot of fans, not only here in the United States, but also in China. And it felt good to see that, of course, people do care about you as a person more than just what you do out there on the basketball court. And, that right there puts a smile on your face.
Howard from 20, top of the key, jump shot, good.
I love all the additions to this team, of course, because I think the organization is moving this team in the right direction to build for a championship. And adding those pieces helps us big time. It brings us a quicker team, makes us more athletic, makes us a deeper team, but you just can't key on 1, 2, or 3 individuals. You have 2 superstar players that you're playing with that command a lot of attention out there on the floor. That makes my job easy.
Inside he goes, turning is Juwan Howard. Little jump hook is good. Juwan can make that shot all night.
When we all doing our job and doing it the right way, we are a tough team to beat. Simple as that.
It's been a while since Orlando is where they are right now. I'm not talking about Houston. I'm talking about 0-3. First time this club has started off the season with 3 straight losses since 1990. Tonight it is the finale of 3 straight to start the season at home. Next up, 5 straight on the road. Miami, New Jersey, Boston, Minnesota, and San Antonio are the destination spots for the Rockets over the next 10 days.
Yeah, now sometimes a road trip can be the best thing for a team that's sort of trying to find its identity. The players will spend virtually all of their waking hours for the next 10 days together. This will help the new guys get to know one another a little bit better and get to know their new teammates. For instance, Derek Anderson, who is standing by now with our Patty Smith.
All right, thanks, Kevin and John. Derek, 2 games under your belt as a Houston Rocket. Now, I spoke to you before the Hornet game last weekend, and you told me you were very comfortable taking the ball and going into play at the 3. You looked comfortable out there, but you looked comfortable at both spots.
Well, yeah, I feel comfortable, but you have to realize it's changing positions real fast. You know, first game I was the 2 most of the time, a little bit of 3, and then starting off the 3 was totally different, getting the ball in your hands more. So mentally you have to be prepared to do those things, and now that I know I have that opportunity to do that, I have to be more assertive early and continuously.
So you foresee it being even better for you today because you do have that last game under your belt and not having to make such a physical transition?
That's the plan. You know, every game gets better. You know, you come out and you find some things, but you got to be consistent in this league, and that's what I'm looking for, is being consistent in whatever I do and continue to grow and to help this team win. You know, there's a lot of things that I have to do as far as on both ends, so hopefully I can just learn from last game and continue to learn.
Well, you bounced around a little bit, most recently with Portland, and before that San Antonio. Tell us your initial reaction when you signed with the Houston Rockets this offseason.
It was great. I mean, I had the opportunity to go elsewhere for more money, but I've been around, and like you said, I want to be stable. I want to be in a situation where I got a chance to win, and win like now. So that was my main thing, just going to a team that was kind of set and had a coach that is going to be a disciplined type coach and give ourselves a chance to win a big thing. And
now that you are here and have had a chance to spend some time with this team, your thoughts on the overall makeup?
I like it. I mean, you have to enjoy what you do, and you have to enjoy the guys you're around as far as the staff, the organization, and everything. And when I signed here, I felt that way from jump. Like I said, they tried to trade for me last year, and that lets you know that team wanted you. So you go with your gut and you go with your heart, but you also go with the business sense, and this team's got a chance to win.
This matchup tonight against Orlando, could this key to this game really be on off the glass on the boards?
That's basically what it's going to come down to. Who gets the effort plays, who gets the most hustle plays, and those type of things make a difference, because that's a good rebounding team. But yet and still, we're a good push team. We have size and we have depth, so we have to utilize everything that we have.
Okay, D.A., thanks for joining us. Kevin and John, let's go back to you.
Live from the Toyota Center in downtown Houston, FSN Houston presents Rockets basketball. And tonight, the Rockets taking on the Orlando Magic. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Worrell. Good to have you with us here tonight as the Rockets try to get up over 500 at 2-1. They were sailing along. They got by with Tracy McGrady in Game 1, but in Game 2 with an 8-point lead and 6 minutes to play, the young Hornets team outscored Houston 17-2 down the stretch, and it was the Rockets that looked like the young and inexperienced team, and the Hornets looked very experienced, very quick. So the Rockets have to find some solution. Jeff Van Gundy says they have to play harder, and they have to get their level of basketball up a notch or two. And Clyde, they better do it tonight because Tracy McGrady will not be here, and Orlando is 0-3. They're looking for their first victory of the season.
Well, make no mistake, this team is desperate for a victory tonight. You got Steve Francis. He would love to beat the Rockets, of course, as anyone would. But for the most part, we got to find a second scorer besides Yao Ming for the Houston Rockets. Someone has got to step up their game in tonight's game.
Steve Francis will be going against Rafer Alston in a battle of points, and Stevie may be out to prove something tonight.
As always, but a little bit more incentive against his ex-team. Look at Stevie's numbers against Rafer Alston. He's averaging over 40 minutes a game, and he's having another pretty good campaign.
Yeah, and they've been talking about him maybe not being the point guard, making him a two guard, but he's still there at the point.
He's still at the point. Of all the talk we hear about making Steve Francis a two guard, game after game, all he does is play hard and produce.
And Rafer needs to push it.
Rafer Alston is very capable of making the open jumper, whether it's a set shot or getting it off the dribble. Here he is with a great steal and the putback. He's playing well. I really like what he brings to this club on a nightly basis.
And time for the Howard and Howard show. We got Dwight Howard at barely 19 years of age going against Juwan Howard of the Rockets. They need to shoot better.
I tell you what, these guys are very solid. They're going to put in a night's work. They're both great rebounders. As you can see, they're very competitive there. Dwight Howard's a lot younger. He's still learning in his second campaign. Remember, he was the first player picked 2 years ago. So this kid has a tremendous amount of potential.
Time now for the Toyota Power Team. Keys to the game.
Well, first of all, the Rockets have got to prove to the NBA that they can be a good rebounding team. They got to clean the glass tonight. They got to set it up and run their offense effectively. And as I said earlier, someone else has got to step up. But the most important thing they've got to do tonight is not let the guards beat them off dribble penetration.
Well, good luck, because Steve Francis is one of the best penetrators in the NBA, and the Rockets going to have to give Yao Ming some help down the stretch as Houston tries to improve its record to 2-1. We'll be back with a tip-off in just a moment. Downtown Houston on FSN Houston. Again, everybody, and welcome back to the Toyota Center downtown Houston, and let's check tonight's Southwest Airlines starting lineup. For the Orlando Magic, they'll be going with Dwight Howard, Hedo Turkoglu, Tony Batiste, Steve Francis, and Deshaun Stevenson. For the Houston Rockets, they'll have Juwan Howard, Ryan Bowen in the starting lineup with Yao Ming, Derek Anderson, and Rafer Alston. Jeff Van Gundy trying to get a little bit of that hustle from Ryan Bowen tonight in the starting lineup. We're just about ready to go with the tip-off, and we'll be back in just a moment. Again, everybody, and welcome back to the Toyota Center downtown Houston. The Magic at 0-3, the Rockets at 1-1. Let's go courtside, and Patty Smith.
Well, thanks, Phil. You know, in your keys to the game, you had clean the glass as number one. Well, I had a chance to speak with Jeff Van Gundy about just that a little earlier, and he says this absolutely cannot become a jumping contest or they will win. This Orlando Magic team has a big front court with Hedo Turkoglu being the smallest at 6'10", and of course then throw in Steve Francis, who's one of the best rebounding guards in the game. Jeff says the Rockets have to gang rebound, they'll have to play very physical and secure the ball at all costs. Bill?
Well, Patty, it's kind of a two-way street. The Magic lead the NBA in rebounding. They grab 55% of the missed shots. Unfortunately, they missed most of them. They are also dead last in the league in shooting, and that's what worries Brian Hill. And boy, Brian, what a heck of a coach. When he was first at Orlando as a head coach in the early 90s, he had Shaq and Penny Hardaway, and he won 57 games in 95. He went to the NBA Finals. He was swept by Clyde Drexler's Houston Rockets 4-0, then won 60 games the next year, and then Shaq left, and all of a sudden Brian wasn't as good a coach.
He didn't seem like the genius that he once was. Shaquille O'Neal went to the Lakers. Penny Hardaway, of course, was injured, and all of a sudden Brian is looking for a job.
Well, Brian's a heck of a coach, and it's good to see him back in the league. Jeff Van Gundy will be the first to tell you that Brian Hill is one of the better ones. Brian got his start with Mike Fratello. It's kind of that New Jersey coaching connection there. Fratello and the gang, along with Hubie Brown and Brian Hill, and Yao Ming will be jumping center. Dwight Howard. They say he could be the next real deal in the league. He was the second player taken last year, and Yao out-jumped him. Of course, Yao's got about 7 inches.
About 8 inches on him.
That's okay. Yao's off to a terrific start this year. Juwan Howard swings it around. Ryan Bowen surprised you as a starter here tonight?
Absolutely, but I like that move because what you want to do is set the tone there. We're going to outwork this team tonight.
Yao Ming to the middle with a jump hook. Boy, he had a terrific game. He's averaging a double-double after his first 2 games, and he's at the top of the league in rebounding and in block shots. He's averaging 4 blocks a game in his first 2. He had 7 blocks in the last game. Tony Batiste from Texas Tech. He's a Dallas kid. He missed the shot. Over to Batiste again. Batiste works it inside. Look at the Rockets. Goes in. Yao Ming with another block.
I like what I see from Yao Ming so far, Bill. Starts off the season with a double-double, over 20 points and 10 rebounds in both games. And he looks really good. He's blocking shots, intimidating.
That's what you want him to do, isn't it, Clyde?
Juwan has knocked down a shot that he's had trouble knocking down the first couple of games. But he looks good. I think he's determined to win this game tonight.
Well, Juwan went 0 for 9 in his first game, and of course that puts you in a big hole, and you've got to fight your way back. He was 4 for 6 in game 2. Turkoglu with a miss, and the rebound of Juwan Howard. Howard is he's about a 50% shooter, so he'll be fine.
He is a seasoned veteran. He knows why he's in this league, and he'll make the most of his talent.
All right, Yao facing up now on Dwight Howard. Turns inside, leans in, draws the foul. What a smart move by Yao Ming.
Very seldom do you see a guy 7'6" pump faking, Bill. But it worked for him.
Yes, it did.
Look at that.
Yao's picked up where he left off last season. The officials for tonight's game, Ken Maurer, Michael Smith, and Courtney Kirkland. The Kirkland, Smith, and Maurer, the officials for tonight's game. Yao had 20 points and 14 rebounds against the New Orleans, Oklahoma City team. And he opened the season with 22 points and 10 boards against Sacramento. So that's the first time in his career to open the season with back-to-back double-double. So it's just a progression every year, isn't it?
He's really progressed. I thought last year he made some really good strides to improve his overall game. And certainly this season it's been monumental, the strides that he's made.
So he's perfect from the field as Steve Francis takes it inside. Rafer Alston with a nice pickup. He'll give Steve back his dribble. He'll get it instead to Turkoglu. Turkoglu's about a 38% shooter from the three-point line. And Deshaun Stevenson now, who's starting to come into his own. He was drafted by Utah 6 seasons ago, right out of high school.
Not a bad player at all. Tremendous athlete. Still learning how to play the game, Bill. He's had some transitions. Started off with Jerry Sloan in Utah, but certainly I like what I see from him.
He started off buried on the bench. He had a lot of veteran talent, and he just never got to play. There's that beautiful jump hook by Dwight Howard, and you can see now that he's starting to get more into the flow of the offense.
Finally. He's starting to develop some low post moves. That jump hook, he gets so high so quickly, he's almost shooting it down, Bill.
Rafer Alston puts up a three, and it's tipped away to Turkoglu. Turkoglu, the first NBA player from Turkey. Oh, and they're going to call a blocking foul on Ryan Bowen.
And that's the Ryan Bowen effect. He's Mr. Hustle. He's going to do all of the little things to make this team, first of all, to get them motivated, and then to help them compete.
And he's the teacher's pet. You know, every teacher has a pet, and he's Jeff Van Gundy's favorite player. There's Stevie Francis hitting a three-pointer. And a 6-0 run by Houston to start the game has been answered by a 7-0 run by Orlando. And that's going to be a defensive 3-second violation. 3 seconds on Orlando.
So it's interesting to see how this game has changed dramatically already. There have been many adjustments made. The Orlando Magic started off this game fronting Yao Ming with Dwight Howard. And then they went right to Tony Battie playing him from behind. Well, I'm sure there'll be many more adjustments throughout the game, but it's interesting early on.
I thought that the Hornets did a pretty good job there at the end of the game of switching off, doubling sometimes, not doubling him, and they had him fooled a little bit.
Keeping him guessing.
Yeah. Now sets that high pick. Derek Anderson hits the jumper. Derek had 3 3-pointers in that last game, but he shot only 4 for 14 overall. He says he knows he can shoot better than that.
Oh, most definitely.
Stevenson with the 14-footer air ball. Rafer Alston up the court in a hurry. Yao from the top of the key, and it's in and out. Good look, and you don't mind him taking those shots.
No, he has such a wonderful touch for a big man outside on the perimeter.
Turkoglu with the left hand. That's a nice move by Hedo Turkoglu. At 6'10", can put the ball on the floor and go to the basket.
Right then, the Rockets should have had interior help. Ryan Bowen did a great job of stretching him out, but there was no one there for the block.
Derek Anderson hits again. It's been an interesting series between these two. The Rockets lost 12 straight to the Magic back in the 90s up to the early 2000s. Then the Rockets have won 7 of the last 9, including 6 in a row. And Stevie hits it from the baseline. All
I know, Bill, is that we won the most important 4 in a row.
You got that right.
That happened in 1995.
Thanks to Nick Anderson. Yao Ming leans in, and a little contact, no whistle. Stevenson will bring it. Oh, Battie. Few extra steps.
Only took 4 steps.
There's Ryan going with a steal. He'll get a couple of those if he plays a lot of minutes. Rafer gets a little tour through. Orlando did a good job of getting back on defense, and Jeff Van Gundy wants to call a timeout. 7:12 left to play in the first period, and we're all knotted up at 11.
doubt. Those guys are sharp as a tack. Did you understand the language?
Of course I did. They said back to us. Well, Yao missed the dunk shot, and the Rockets keep possession. Clock keeps running at 5 seconds. And a whistle, and you got to let him. They call that dislodging, and that's what Tony Batiste was doing. He was not allowing Yao to set the position. So that's what you were talking about. They got Batiste on him now.
They got Batiste. Oh, that's a pretty good block coming from the weak side. He's such a great athlete.
Oh, you got to slam that ball home. He can get his hand out. Derek back outside. Juwan keeps it moving. Going to be a steal by Turkoglu. Stevie. Right back to Batiste. Batiste drops it inside Stevenson, and there's going to be a late whistle. And a foul is called on Rafer Alston. That's the second team foul on Houston, 2 team fouls on the Magic.
That's a late call, Bill.
Guess they were waiting to see if it went.
He got hit from behind as he was putting up the shot. And when it didn't go, of course, they had to call it. But it gone in.
Sean Stevenson averaging almost 13 points per game and 6 rebounds a game. He's 6'5", but he has a great body, and he can really leap. And, you know, you got a couple of guards now. Stevenson averages 6 rebounds a game, and Stevie averages almost 7. So your backcourt.
One of the best rebounding backcourts in the NBA.
Yeah. And like when you played with the Rockets, you used to average around 6 or 7 boards a game.
And think about it, this team is missing Grant Hill.
Yeah.
They have tremendous talent.
Oh, Yao passes it outside. Going to be a backcourt violation on Houston. Well, they're missing Keon Dooling, too, who is a free agent. They acquired him in the offseason from Miami, and he's had a right heel contusion. Pat Garrity has been injured, but he is back tonight and active. They've got some walking wounded. And, of course, the Rockets without Tracy McGrady, and that is really big. Steve walks it inside, but he doesn't make the layup.
That seems to be the recurring theme on a lot of different teams. They're going to be injured from time to time, but you have to make do when your best players are out.
I'm going with a 3. Hey! Boy, you get offense from him, it's a plus. Rockets up by 2. Howard turned the option. You know, you expect the right-hander to go, when he goes to his left, to pivot off that left foot. He went the opposite way.
Got a little twisted.
Yeah.
Ended up on the wrong foot there, Bill.
Yeah, that's right. That means you have to move that pivot foot.
And that's what it means to be young, fellas. When you get a guy with that much potential, that young, he's still learning.
That's a good drive by Derek Anderson to Sean Stevenson. Rockets looked a little slow, and of course, the Hornets may have had something to do with that because of Chris Paul and Speedy Claxton. They're so good in the backcourt. They made the Rockets look a little slow, but tonight the Rockets look like they got that half step back.
Looks like they're more prepared to play mentally.
And a whistle. And a foul is called on Tony Batiste. That's his second.
Did Yao take an elbow in the chops? Look at this.
Ooh.
Oh, that was pretty blatant. Easy to call from a referee's standpoint.
Oh, nice seal off by Yao, but coming around from the other side, a jump ball. Yao had Batiste in his sights. He did not see Dwight Howard coming from the weak side. Well, Howard is really going to be nice. He won't be 20 years old until next month.
Oh, my goodness. He has the body of a seasoned NBA player.
Yeah, he's a terrific-looking talent.
As I said before, he's just still learning the game. But once he figures it out, Bill, he is going to be a force for many, many years.
6'11", 265.
With very strong legs and a live body.
Francis will pull up and shoot the jumper. Bowen with the rebound. Good defense. 4-on-2 fast break. Austin leans inside, gives it up to D.A. Anderson with a miss. Howard with the rebound. He averaged 10 rebounds a game in his rookie year last year. And Yao gets another block. That's 2 blocks for Yao. Remember, he had 7 blocks in the last game.
I think sooner or later, guys are going to realize that Yao Ming is 7 feet. 7 foot 6 inches tall, Bill. Don't come in there with that stuff.
And his timing's getting better.
And he's more aggressive this year. He seems to be really going for everything.
Turkoglu isolated on Bowen. Good defense. And the tee went over the back, knocked out of bounds by Stevenson. Hey. 14-12 Rockets. 4.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter.
Bill, this is the type of game that I thought we'd see tonight. The Rockets want to establish the half-court game, and certainly are trying to exploit this team in the half-court set.
There's a turnover you should never have, Clyde. That pass into the big man ought to be automatic.
That post entry is one of the hardest passes to make for
Why
guards.
is it?
Because you have to hit the big man right right in his target, and his hand is the target. So the ball should go wherever his hand is.
And you have to pass it away from the defensive man, don't you?
Absolutely. And they've got to be strong enough to hold the defensive guy off.
Look at that move by Dwight Howard. He just shot up. Look at the shoulders and the arms on Howard. You know, I said he was going to be 20 next month. He's really put on a lot of strength, and so is Yao Ming. These two guys, strength-wise, have really improved in the offseason. They have worked hard on their conditioning.
And it shows. It shows in tonight's game.
Howard comes out high on Francis, gives Rafer a chance to get back on defense. Stevenson. And that's what Yao forced him to do, was pass it off into traffic. And a turnover, Orlando.
That's called an intimidation. He does that well, too. See, he doesn't get credit for a block there, but certainly the act of intimidation is equally as strong.
Yeah, he's got 2 blocks, and he's changed 2 shots. Kelvin Cato has checked into the game now, and he'll try to muscle up. Howard will put it up and in. Juwan Howard off to a good shooting start. 2 for 3. The Rockets, 7 of 14 for 50%. 6 of 14, 43% for Orlando. DA won't allow that pass. There it is again, trying to get it into the post.
Trying to make that post entry, and it is a very difficult pass. When we played, Bill, I had Akeem Olajuwon. He would give you a wonderful target. That big hand would always be up, but he was strong enough to keep the defensive guy off of his back.
There's the key. Boy, when he bodied you up,
you were not going to move him.
He has that big wide base, and that's something that Yao's had to work at. He's got those strong legs. 3 seconds, down to 2 on the shot clock. Howard missing. And Austin with a rebound. 2:50 left to play in the first quarter. Austin directing traffic, takes it over to Yao's side, and he tried to get it to him and missed him. Francis in the open court, and we have a whistle, and a foul is called on Derek Anderson. So we've got a break. 2:42 left in the first period. Rockets up by 4. Dikembe Mutombo checks into the game. Big Deke.
Mutombo. I'd say he's very productive in his time on the court.
Is he really 39?
It depends on what kind of years you're talking. Human years, dog years.
We're going to have to check that out. There's a shot by Stevie, and he hits him. Now, you can't back off of him from that distance too far.
No, Stevie's a very capable shooter from that range. He's looking for that. He's a little bit more patient. He's looking to set up the offense. He looks good, Bill.
Came in shooting 43% in the first 3 games, but only 11% from the three-point line. Alston gets a step. Howard, well, you changed that shot. Did you see Howard, how high he got?
Well, he gets up high, and then his second jump is so quick as well.
And Cato's a good shot blocker.
And so is Petit, and Turkoglu is also 6'10", so they keep a big lineup out there at all times.
There's a mismatch here. Wesley will have to try to guard Turkoglu, and a touching foul on David Wesley. Now, they went right to him, didn't they, when they saw Wesley guarding him?
Mouse in the house. That's the NBA term for a mismatch. Mouse in the house.
Mouse in the house. I like that. Did you have a lot of mice in the house?
Oh, we would spot them right away and go right to them. That's the mark of a seasoned, a veteran team. Exploit the mismatches.
Jameer Nelson in at point guard now. He had that terrific career at St. Joe's. Turkaloo to the middle with a hook shot. You let him get there now, and you're in trouble.
He is 6'10", by the way. Even with Derek Anderson, he has a mismatch.
Game tied at 18. You know, where you miss McGrady a lot, too. You think of offense, but at 6'7", he can really match up defensively with a lot of them.
He creates a lot of matchup problems, and he also is a wonderful, capable player.
I'm glad Juwan Howard brought that jumper tonight.
He's hot. That's 3 for 3 from the outside.
Rockets up by 2. Francis. Stevie. Oh, it was blocked by Mutombo, so get that stuff out of here. D.A. misses on the three-pointer. 45 seconds left in the quarter. Francis now has switched over to the 2 guard, but will still control the ball a lot, and there's a turnover.
Good defense from Juwan Howard on the weak side there, Bill.
He read that, didn't he?
Oh, read it like a nice novel.
All right, now there's going to be a difference about 5 seconds, shot clock, game clock. Anderson gets a step on Turkaloo, nice pickup. Juwan Howard gets the shot off the mark. Cato clears it out, 3 seconds, down to 2, down to 1. Look out, this is Stevie's specialty. And he misses. Steve Francis has hit a lot of those last-second shots, but he missed there. And after the first quarter of play from the Toyota Center, it's the Rockets 20, the Magic 18 on FSN Houston. Welcome back to the Toyota Center. The Rockets win the first quarter 20-18. Let's take a look at tonight's McDonald's League leaders. This will be rebounds per game this season. You see Yao Ming is right in there at 12 rebounds a game with Sean Marion, Ben Wallace, and Marcus Camby. That's pretty good company, and Tim Duncan right there with him. Also, Yao is number 3 in the league in block shots, right behind Andre Kirilenko and Tim Duncan.
Again, good company.
You notice every time there's Tim Duncan.
Why does that guy keep showing up?
I don't know.
He's pretty special.
He sure is. Francis with a tough shot.
Leaping leaner from 3-point land.
Well, there were 7 seconds left on the shot clock. He's looking like he always, when he does something like that, he looks at the official.
You think he thinks he was fouled?
Yeah, Stromile Swift now will work on Garrity. Goes baseline, nothing there, throws it away. They're going to change that call. They gave the ball initially to Orlando. A good job of the officials getting together. Ken Maurer had a better look at it. Michael Smith, Courtney Kirkland did not.
That was a good cleanup call. And there they are in the conference discussing.
That's never very good for the Rockets. In all of my years, when the officials get together for a conference, the Rockets never seem to get it.
I always thought the same when I was a player, Bill.
David Wesley misses on the jumper. And Mutombo steals the rebound. John Barry is checked in. So it's Barry, Wesley, Stromile, Swift. Rafer Alston remains in the game. Stromile goes, looking shot.
Oh, a little bit too strong on the jump hook.
Turkaloo
trying to exploit the mismatch once again.
Working on the mouse. Clyde Drexler says there's a mouse in the house. The mouse won the battle. Offensive rebound. Steve Francis gets a pick from Cato and hits the jumper. Stevie now 4 for 8 from the field. He has 9 points. One problem Steve had when he was here, and he was a great player in Houston, but let the game come to him, and he looks very patient starting out tonight's game.
He does, and even though he's scoring less on this season, he seems to be a little bit more patient in the offensive set.
John Barry had it knocked away. Steve at the other end. And the Magic with a 2-point lead now. They've scored 4 in a row.
The Rockets have got to be careful and take care of the ball in the half-court set. Turnovers really helped the New Orleans Hornets out the other night. And certainly, we don't want to see a repeat of that.
Garrity fronting Mutombo. Mutombo takes it inside. He's fouled by Garrity, and there was a mismatch. The mouse was a little bigger, but it was still a big mouse. Garrity is 6'9", Mutombo 7'1".
Mutombo did a great job of getting the foul. A little Hollywood there.
Well, that's what you learn all those years in the league, isn't it? Dikembe is in his 15th year in the NBA, and he says he's only 39 years old. Clyde seems
I almost believe it, Bill.
Do you? You know what Charles used to say about Hakeem, you really didn't know how old Hakeem really was.
I don't know if Hakeem liked that very much. he was not. That was not too funny to him.
No, don't ever say anything like that to Hakeem. He appeared to be gentle, but he'd get his feelings hurt.
Oh, he has so much integrity, Bill.
Yeah. Well, we joke about it, but of course, I don't care if he's 55 years old. He still plays like he's 35.
Exactly.
That ball was shot so badly that it came all the way back outside. And Cato lost the ball going up, and they called it on Mutombo. I thought Cato lost that ball before the contact.
And I thought he could have led with his free hand on the way to the basket. See that free hand? Look at that.
He lost the ball.
Lost the ball and had the left hand. Watch the left hand on the clear out. Oh, yeah. That could have been an offensive foul. Mutombo can't believe it.
Well, Kelvin Cato, in his 9th NBA season, he came over in that big trade with Portland. So he played about 3 or 4 preseason games. The Rockets signed him to about a $47 million contract.
And he had a couple of good years with the Houston Rockets. Yes, he really did.
He was a good, solid player. Let me tell you, he can play some defense now and can block shots, and he's pumped up to play tonight. If he comes ready to play, he's a load.
He's a force director, but he's a decent defensive player. He can block shots, especially off the weak side.
Just didn't bring it every game. There's John with a miss.
We have 3 ex-Rockets on the Orlando Magic squad. Of course, Steve Francis, Kelvin Cato, and Terrence Morris, who's yet to see action.
No, he's out there right now.
Exactly. Snuck out there.
And there he is. And he missed. And the ball in the hands of Mutombo. Tino Mobley was part of that Tracy McGrady deal, and he was then traded to Sacramento. Luther Head skips inside, and he's, ooh, boy. I think they missed the initial traveling and made up for it at the end. And we have a timeout. 8:52 left to play. And the Magic up 23-22. Orlando up 23-22. So right now the Rockets shooting 36%. The Orlando Magic shooting 40%. That Rockets fan says, I need some more baskets. Rockets shooting has not been at the start of the season what we expected it to be, but of course, when you're playing without one of the top 5 players in the NBA, it hurts your entire offense.
Well, Tracy McGrady commands the double team everywhere he goes. So those guys, when he's on the floor with Yao, everyone else gets a great look at the basket point. When Tracy's not there, they have a little bit more pressure upon him.
Good point. Jameer Nelson down to Cato. Cato will work on Stromile Swift. Oh, my goodness, they're going to call goaltending.
And I think if he had let it go, it could have been an air ball, Bill.
Could have been. It was headed. It was headed for air ball.
It was a little bit too far to the right.
Cato says, "I'll take the points."
So that's an intimidating block. Next time he'll think about that.
No, I remember Guy Lewis telling Hakeem, "So block everything you can. They'll start thinking about it." Luther Head out front on Jameer Nelson. Head gets a step. And Swift hits from the baseline over Garrity. Go Miles Swift. I know they really want him to get going.
He has so many weapons. He can shoot the open jumper. He's good on the low blocks, and he's explosive.
Nelson right back out to Terrence Morris. And a long rebound to Nelson. This young man won just about every award you can win at St. Joe's his senior year, right through the legs of Cato. That was a pass ball.
I'm not quite sure who he was throwing that ball to.
I don't think any of his Magic teammates knew it either.
His teammates right between the legs, and he's looking at him like, "Is that for me?"
John Barry. Garrity fronting Swift. And Cato, they're really making it tough on the Rockets getting that pass into the post, aren't they?
Orlando's really trying to deny the entry pass.
Now, if you keep doing that, there might be some backdoor action coming up after this timeout. 7:29 left as Jeff Van Gundy wants to talk it over. Magic up by a point.
25-24, the Magic are up over the Rockets by 1.
They have a lot of good defensive linemen. They do a good job and did a good job last night as well. We have our hands full, and it's a game. It's one of those games. A little bit of good time, but we have to stay with our game plan the whole time. We can't get away from what we're trying to do as far as running the ball and do what we always do. But that's our main goal. That's how it is every week.
All right. Well, good luck to you. And Bill, this guy's 6'8", so we may want to throw him in for a few rebounds.
Okay, Patty, at 6'8", 300 pounds. I tell you, that's as big a guy as I've ever seen.
He's taking up 2 of those seats over there, Bill. Not
huge.
1, but 2.
He's making me look small. That's what I like.
I just want to know, can he commit fouls? Because we can use his 5 fouls out there.
Clyde wants to know if you can commit some fouls for him. No.
You need to commit some fouls on that field. No holding, please.
I'll tell you what, he's a big man.
You know, when you see how big he is, you just wonder, how do they sack that big car as many times as they do?
How do they get by a guy that big?
That's right, if he just stood there. So we got a foul called on the court on Cato.
There are probably a couple of factors determining that.
Patty Smith is on that Texans huddle that comes on Thursday nights at 6:30. Patty and Bart in it. So you can check that out. Nice baby hook by Luther Head, who is trying to get more minutes. And the way he played at the end of the last game, I thought he played pretty well. He's bidding to get into the lineup here.
Tell you what, I like the way Luther Head plays. He's fearless. He comes out and he tries everything. He plays the game. The game comes very easy for him.
And a holding foul was called on Terrence Morris. You know, they're trying to front the post-up men for Houston, Clyde, and if you can, should that leave the back door open?
It should, but the weak side has got to clear out, Bill. The weak side clears out. It leaves it wide open for the locket ball.
Miles Swift. So the obvious plan is to back off of him and make him shoot from the outside. The problem with that is he's 2 for 4. And the Rockets now have taken a 3-point lead. Stevie had plenty of time, passed up on the 3, gets it to Garrity. Swift came out and really made him change the shot off the knee of Steve Francis. Good hustle by David Western. Oh, my goodness.
That was a wonderful hustle by David Western.
Michael Smith called it out off the knee of Orlando, and Ken Maurer overruled him and called a foul on Western.
Maybe over the back a little bit, but they were both in the air. Tremendous play by David Western.
Well, Ken made that call from behind the play.
Yeah, some of the officials are always looking for the super call, Bill.
Yeah, Michael was right there where the call was. Garrity is a terrific shooter, and they're really glad to have him back in the lineup.
He's the one guy you don't want to leave open on that squad.
No. He's a 7-year veteran. Notre Dame guy.
Notre Dame.
Ball popped right back out to John Barry, and he missed the 3, and Miles Swift with the rebound. Yao
You see what Stormile did there, Bill? when you get an offensive rebound, your first look is underneath the basket. And that time, Yao Ming just happened to be open, and he delivered a wonderful pass for the score.
Howard puts it up and in, and that's a great pass by Steve Francis. And Luther Head is fouled going to the basket. There's that good aggressive play by Luther Head.
He forces the action and forces the defense to make a decision.
This pass.
Yao, actually, the two-hand jam. He made it look so easy.
Come on, Clyde, he better make that.
Oh, he'll make that. He's pretty dependable.
Did you see last night? I'm trying to think. New Jersey Nets game. Did you see Carter's dunk shot?
Vince Carter. Dominique Wilkins was a human highlight film. I don't think there'll never be another guy like him. But Vince Carter is certainly in the same class.
Boy.
It doesn't matter who's there. I think the guy was 7'2" that he dunked over. He just kept going high.
He reloaded and went behind his head. 13 seconds on the shot clock. 2-point Houston lead. Stevie gives it up to Howard. Howard gets it inside, and Yao got up high in the air. Francis knocks it out of bounds. Houston's ball.
You talk about guys playing above the rim.
Yeah.
Everything on that sequence is above the rim.
Luther Head out to John Barry. And John Barry hits the three. And again, Luther Head making it happen. He got inside the Orlando defense.
He is not afraid to take it in there and stick his nose in there and make a play. That's what I love about Luther Head.
Maybe dribbling that ball too much. Shot clock's already down to 8 seconds. Howard, and it's blocked by Swift out of bounds. And it still belongs to Orlando as Tony the Key checks back into the game.
That was a great block from the weak side by Swift. But as he gets a little bit more mature, he's going to have to learn how to keep that ball in play. I remember when Hakeem Olajuwon made that progression. Weak side, throws it out of there. But that's one you probably can keep in play.
I don't think Hakeem ever saw Bill Russell actually play, but he and Bill were a lot alike in that regard.
A lot alike.
There's Yao.
They not only make the block, they start to break with it.
Exactly, and then they catch up to the guard. Swift goes inside and misses a layup. You know, people forget how Bill Russell could run the court.
Oh, my goodness, he was a deer. Man, with such ease.
Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt was a terrific athlete. And Hakeem, he'd get the rebound or the block shot, he'd get it up to the guard, and he'd end up dunking it at the other end. There's the foul on Luther Head. That's a 13 foul on Houston, 14 fouls on the Magic, with just under 3.5 minutes left to play in the second period. Rockets up by 5. Francis to Howard, and he has the ball blocked, and a foul is called.
Again, great block by David Wesley, and I think they're going to take it away with another foul.
Little pick and roll play. But you want to put Howard on the line in this. Don't give up the easy 2 on the dunk, because he's only a 60% free throw shooter, so you want him to earn it. This is the one area that Dwight Howard will have to improve on. I remember when Karl Malone's rookie season, he shot about 60%, but he really improved his free throw shooting.
He improved it by shooting more free throws every day.
He knew he was going to go to the line a lot in his career.
Oh, he was on there 10, 11 times a game, maybe 15, 20 games.
Yeah.
But same thing will happen to Dwight Howard. But I think you only improve through repetition on a daily basis. Shooting 500, 600 shots a day. And then you start to become an 80% free throw shooter. And then they'll say, well, it's pretty natural for you.
Yeah, and maybe quit fouling. Orlando could have had Emeka Okafor, but they had the #1 pick. They took Howard instead, and Okafor, all he did was go to Charlotte and make Rookie of the Year. Of course, Okafor worked with Hakeem Olajuwon all summer here in Houston. Yao Ming sealed his man off, but he missed the hook shot, and a loose ball foul is called on Stromile Swift. I think Yao's shocked that he missed that shot.
Pick his shot. That was his perfect move.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you go to your patented move and you shoot it the way you think you always do, and it doesn't go in, it shocks you, Bill. You have this look of disbelief.
I think the problem, too, is Yao tends to rush that shot a little bit and just take his time. As you see Howard, now he'll have a couple of more free throws. Would you have taken Okafor or would you have taken Howard?
Well, Okafor went to Bel Air High School right here in Houston, Texas. Went to University of Connecticut. Stayed all 4 years, so he's seasoned, he's more mature, and on top of that, he won the national championship. He's the MVP, and he's a seasoned pro. I would have taken Okafor.
Yeah, I would have too, and he's a brilliant young man too. He graduated in record time at UConn, an honor student, and I showed you how bright he is. He called Akeem Olajuwon this summer, and Akeem came to town and worked with him every day, didn't he?
For 3 weeks. Yeah. I talked to Akeem. He said, I worked with this guy, and he progressed so fast each and every day. He said he couldn't believe it.
Well, Anderson missed the layup, but the Rockets hustle and get it back.
Akeem says when he first started working with him, the guy had no idea why he should make certain moves. But at the end of 3 weeks, he said this guy was a student of the game.
So the Rockets get the ball back. We have a timeout charge to the Magic. 14 seconds left in the shot clock. When we come back, Rockets up by 3. 35-32, Houston. This will be his 13th season in the NBA, and somebody always wants you when you can do the little things.
The little things make a big difference.
Now goes to the court, and he's just swarmed by. They called a jump ball, and they're going to say Yao called a timeout, but I don't know if that was well advised since he was tied up by Stevenson, a 6'5" guard. He could have won that jump. I don't think Jeff wanted to use his 22nd right there with 2:28 left.
No, not necessarily. I think there was a great hustle by Yao Ming. 7'6", getting on the floor, going after loose balls. He does it all, Bill.
Next home game, Clyde, Friday, November 18th, 8:30. The Rockets will host the Detroit Pistons here in Toyota Center. Get your tickets by calling 713-627-DUNK, online at Rockets.com or at the Toyota Center box office. Rockets basketball, live it every day, every game. Season tickets, Ben Wallace and Yao Ming and Stromile Swift and Detroit, one of the best teams in the East, or the best teams in basketball. So get your tickets now, and you know there's a lot of suites still available, and that's a great place to watch a game.
Great place to watch it.
And Clyde will buy the food.
I'll help you eat it.
Okay.
That should be a wonderful matchup.
Yao Ming misses on the turnaround. Turkaloo. So Yao's having an off night shooting. He's 3 for 10 from the field.
Every shot looks good. I just think you have to keep shooting.
Stevenson with the miss, and John Barry runs it down. 2 minutes left to play in the first half.
2 minutes.
Barry, Swift trying to post up. Barry gets a pick from Yao. They swing it to the corner. Now Swift's open. Now Swift goes to the basket. Did you see how they swung it around where he was open? Good play.
Good offensive movement by the Houston Rockets. Yeah. Good possession.
37-32. Biggest lead of the game for Houston has been 6. Biggest lead for Orlando, 3. There's Swift with good hustle. Stevenson back outside. Stevie reads the label on the ball. Missed the 3. Turkaloo gets the long rebound.
That'll get the rebound, Bill.
And Stevie draws the foul and gets the basket.
If you give teams enough chances, eventually they're going to make a shot.
That was your second key tonight.
You got to eat the glass.
Stop the penetration. Right?
Stop the guard penetration. Look at that. Good job by Derek Anderson, but no help on the interior. They've got to collapse and pay attention to the guy coming to the basket. And Coach Van Gundy is a very good defensive coach. I really think those are blown assignments.
Well, Steve misses the free throw, so he gets 2 out of it. The Rockets maintain a 3-point lead. 1:13 left, first half. Derek Anderson with Austin in the game, Swift, Yao, and Barry. Stevenson turns the corner, drops it off to Yao, and the key knocked it away from Yao Ming. Francis. Carefully had to save it and pull it out. 47 seconds left. Outlaw didn't want to shoot that ball. Stevenson will, and he hits it too.
Outlaw does what he does best.
That's right.
Make the extra pass. Great defense and hit the board.
Yeah, he'll pressure in that backcourt too, Barry. We've got to watch it. Down to Yao Ming. Should be two, and it is. Good quick pass inside. They didn't get to Yao Ming in time. 10 points for Yao. 39-36 Rockets. Seconds on the shot clock. Stevie. Now dribbling. Shoots a J and hits. 15 points.
He's looking at his hand and just to say, what happened there? Steve Francis is.
7 for 13. Rafer Alston gets it inside and is blocked by Bo Outlaw. As he gets a block on Stromae Swift, and that's why he was in there. And Big Bo came away with a block at the buzzer. So we played the first half, and it's the Rockets 39, the Magic 38. Stay with us. Tonight's Toyota Power Team halftime report comes your way after the break. The Rockets lead it here at halftime, 39-38, but Steve Francis has done a pretty good job of scoring. He's got 15 points for Orlando, but although he's been averaging big points against Houston, he's lost all 3 games, 25-8-8. So, well, let him have his, right?
Let him have his. You can't stop him, especially when he's feeling it like he is tonight.
You know, Clyde, the Rockets were up by 6 and then 5 late in the first half, but they run into these scoring droughts because their shooting is just abysmal. They're under 40% shooting again tonight. What's wrong with the offense other than Tracy McGrady being out?
Other than not having T-Mac in tonight's game, I think for the most part, what they have to do is they're getting shots in rhythm, and they have to knock those shots down. It's early in the season, but still, this is what you do. When you get that shot, this is what you worked hard for every day in practice. You just have to knock it down and shoot it with confidence, Bill.
Well, Yao's getting some looks, but he's made only 4 of 11 shots. They'll have to get him going in the second half, and we'll be back with that second half in just a moment. 39-38 in that first half. Patty Smith now standing by with Coach Tom Thibodeau.
Coach, the keys to the game in the pregame were winning the battle on the glass, and secondly was keeping Orlando from penetrating. How are you faring on those fares?
Well, not very well. Francis is causing all kinds of problems getting into the paint. He's breaking us down on pick and rolls, seams in transition, and then when Nelson comes into the game, he goes to the 2, and he's hard to guard off pin downs, and he's also getting into the paint there. So we have to do a much better job of playing tighter on him, not giving him as much space, keep him out of the lane, and then when he shoots, we got to make sure we're getting to bodies. They're long and quick, so we have to drive him back and then fight for the ball.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Bill?
All right, Patty, thank you. Here tonight's Bud Light first half stats. And not pretty for the Rockets. They're a much better shooting team than that 40% would tell you. Only 41% shooting for the Orlando Magic. And yet the Rockets with a 1-point lead. And the Houston bench with 15 points. So good contributions there, Clyde.
Great contributions, and we'd like to see even more. A guy that can make that happen is John Barry. Game 1, he had 24 points and looked extremely good shooting the basketball. Game 2, we didn't see much of him. He was on the floor, but he just didn't have that same zest. Game 3, I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive and look for his shot.
There you see Francis with 15 points, and the other scoring by the Houston Rockets, led by Yao Ming with 10 points. He's the only Rocket in double figures. Stromae Swift has been very effective. There's John, who came off the bench, played 12 minutes. He was only 1 for 4. That was a three-pointer. So here we go for the second half. We talk about being without T-Mac. Of course, Orlando is without Grant Hill, and he will be out for quite a while, as will Keon Dooley. Stevenson takes it inside over Yao Ming. Stevenson came down awkward.
He's limping, but he's getting back. It's always easy to go back down court, Bill, after you make the shot. If he had missed that one, he'd still be on the floor.
EA takes it into Yao Ming. Oh, he put it up and in. What a heads-up play by Yao. He transferred the ball to his left hand, put it up and in. And Jeff Van Gundy's arguing for a continuation.
Will they count it? Look at Yao. Here he shows the strength. His right arm is held and he uses the left. That was a pretty intelligent play there by Yao.
He's a very
should have been an N1.
Yes. I think he outfoxed the officials. He already made the call, and traveling is called on Derek Anderson.
Well, he can't believe it. He looks at the officials like, are you kidding?
That's usually made about once a week.
Traveling in the NBA? Is that an official call?
Only when they get on the plane. 40-39 Magic. Steve just moved his pivot foot about 3 times. Francis down the baseline, turns. You got to stay with him all the way. He missed it. Ball kicked up in the air. Juwan Howard secures it. Ray for Austin will bring it up for Houston. Rockets trying to get into the offense. Not been able to get any fast break points. And there's a late whistle and a push in the back by Tony Batiste. That's the 4th foul on Tony. Went to South Oak Cliff in Dallas. Went to Texas Tech.
A Red Raider.
Yep.
In his 9th year in the league. He's made a good career for himself as well, primarily on the defensive end and being a good shot blocker.
Had a couple good years in Boston. Now he'll come out. Cato will come in.
Hey, the Rockets have really got to establish their offensive stats here and execute a little bit crisper in their sets. And I think their shooting will improve.
Howard with a good switch. And Juwan hits the jumper, so he picks up where he left off. He's 4 for 6 from the field.
Just a very consistent performance. Night in and night out.
Kirkaloo. Picked up by Ryan Bowen. Into the deep corner for Steve. He misses, and the rebound to Derek Anderson.
Let's go, Derek. Come on, baby.
Bowen trying to get it into Yao Ming, and again, a problem of getting it into the post.
Post entry. I said it seems easy, Bill. One of the most difficult passes to make, especially when you have a target such as a Yao Ming, because everyone on the floor knows that you're trying to get him the ball.
And a whistle. Foul is called on Juwan Howard, who wasn't even anywhere near that play.
That was interesting.
Yeah, there was contact out on the perimeter. No whistle there, but they...
3 bodies go down on the perimeter.
They saw Juwan doing something. That's his first foul of the game.
Away from the ball. Now, if I'm an official, I had to be watching what's happening on the ball.
Well, the far side official made the call. Turkaloo. Turkaloo to the middle. And the foul is called on the pass off. Ryan Bowen. Second foul on Ryan, and that's the second team foul. So both teams with 2 team fouls here in the first 3 minutes.
I guess you would say the intensity. They picked up the intensity, Bill.
They're trying to, and of course a good start in that third quarter always helps. There's Yao chasing Stevenson. They go inside to Howard. Good defense by Houston. Rafer all the way to the basket and threw it away. Rockets are trying to get a fast break going, but they just can't get it.
That's one thing I like about Ray for Austin. He's trying to force the action. He's getting the team into transition. There they made the turnover, but I think in the long run, by getting the easy transition baskets, will make this team a better team down the stretch.
Right, the Rockets do not have a fast break point. And that really makes it tough when you have to come out and set into that half-court offense every time. Juwan Howard. And good roll by the veteran shooter. A little blood left on that rim, but he'll take it.
Shooter's touch.
And Orlando will call a timeout. 9:05 left to play in the third period, and the Rockets jump out on top by 3. Plans that will suit your pocketbook and your time frame.
I think, Bill, the Magic have started this quarter 1 for 6, and the Rockets are trying to capitalize.
Yep, that's what you got to do. Right. Dwight Howard takes it to the middle, draws a crowd. That leaves Stevenson open, and he dribbles it right into Yao Ming. And Yao is called for the foul. That's his second of the game. Yao thought maybe Stevenson used his elbow.
Just a little bit, not a lot. Stevenson actually had an open shot, but chose to take it in and be aggressive. And I like that. Sometimes you have a tendency to rely too much on the open jumper, when the most efficient play is taking the ball to the basket.
Yep.
Trying to make something happen.
Sean Stevenson in his 6th year in the NBA, but he's only 24 years old. Came right out of Washington Union in Fresno. He averaged 30 points a game in his high school career, so Utah picked him up. The first-round draft choice, but he languished on the bench with John Stockton still going strong.
That was the first time Jerry Sloan had actually picked a high school player in the first round.
I don't think Jerry did it.
I'm sure he had nothing to do with it because he's the consummate veteran coach.
Turnover Houston, and Stevie back the other way now. Picks out Kirkaloo from the corner, and he misses. And normally a very reliable shooter. He started in Sacramento, but too much like Pages Stojakovic. Went to San Antonio and had a good run with the Spurs. Signed as a free agent with Orlando. DA is wide open, but that's off the mark, so everybody missing. A lot of clanking going on. Good save on the steal by Derek Anderson. Now still waiting to join the fray, and there he is. 13 on the shot clock. Juwan's been hitting that shot.
He is not hesitating, Bill. He's feeling it.
Well, they found a hole in the... They're going to give him that shot because, as you said, coming in, he was shooting, what, 26%
for the year
on the first couple of games, so they probably figured that's the spot we'll attack defensively, and he's making them pay.
And he's shooting it with no hesitation at all.
And an offensive foul called on Kelvin Cato. Second foul on Kelvin. Say hi to Kelvin's mom. She's watching in Atlanta, I'm sure.
His mother is sweet. Very, very nice lady.
I'm going to call a palming. There's another one you see about once a week.
A travel and a palming violation in the same game.
I want to say hi to Carolyn Cato if she's watching, and she always does. She's a basketball mom.
Loves the game.
What a nice lady. Dwight Howard posting up. Looking for Steve. They're going to call a defensive 3-second on Yao Ming.
Had a foot in the paint. You got to get outside the paint. And it was a little bit slow. He tried it. He knew he was in there.
You have to be within arm's length, don't you, for 3 seconds. If you leave your man, of course, that's something that's hard to judge. You have to go back and establish contact.
And it's hard as a defender to know because you want to anticipate the action. Because if you're not there, it's too late.
Yeah.
And if you go too early, it's an infraction. So what do you do, Bill?
Well, you just hang around in there and hope they don't call it. 45-43 Rockets. They'll call it every now and then to clean it up. That's one for each team. Stevie going to shoot it over Bowen. Misses. Cato tips it. But Howard's a man right there. Juwan with his 4th rebound of the game. Yao got his man sealed off Cato, but he passes out to Bowen. So they passed up a golden opportunity there. When Cato gets somebody pinned, or when Cato gets pinned like that, I'm sure he thought Yao was going to shoot it, and there's a miss by Bowen.
I think they're slacking off of Bowen and helping defensively, inviting him to take that shot.
And again, a defensive violation on Houston. The way these two teams are shooting, Clyde, our season ticket holders on the front row could be in danger.
They're building a few condos, throwing up some bricks.
Oh, man.
A lot of bricks in tonight's game.
Well, I don't know whether, I'm sure the defense has something to do with that.
And it's still early in the season. Guys are still shaking off the rust. I'm just being nice. My fellow comrades.
You sound like you're still playing. That never bothered you. Of course, you're in the Hall of Fame. Not too many Hall of Famers out there right now.
Tell you what, we all had those nights where we felt like we couldn't throw it in the ocean.
Yeah, that happens. It happens. Stevie takes it in under Yao, gets the basket and draws the foul, and Yao Ming has picked up his second foul.
Hey, Francis coming in off the curls and off dribble penetration. He just creates havoc.
He's fearless because Steve takes a lot of punishment. He's one of those real strong guards.
He just elevates and just keeps elevating. When he's strong enough to finish with all of that hang time, that's what makes him a special player.
He's strong. I remember he played here in junior college. San Jacinto to the National Junior College Final. There's an offensive rebound by Orlando. So the Magic up by a point. Dwight Howard comes out, sets that pick. Stevenson back to Turkoglu, is wide open for three.
Well, we know he can do that.
Yeah. Biggest lead of the game now by Orlando.
He can shoot the ball. At 6'10", he's a threat inside and out.
Rockets have to find a way to get some good looks. There's a good look.
Great pick by Juwan Howard.
And Rafer with his first basket of the game. He has 2. And the man he's guarding has got 17. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Howard on Howard. Francis, tough jumper, got it. And Stevie with 19 points, a 9-2 run by Orlando. Juwan. And Turkoglu with a rebound. That was the only white jersey under that basket.
Not many of them going for the offensive rebound. I think Orlando will run the ball quickly down the court, but he's got to get back.
Okay. 8 seconds. And an offensive foul on Turkoglu.
Great defensive job by Derek Anderson. He knew what Turkoglu wanted to do, make the pass, get the give and go. He got right in his path, and of course, he did a little bit of flopping, just a little bit, but he got the foul.
Well, you know, Clyde, that's tough to take a shot like that to the chest. You've got to be ready. I want to flop a little bit just to make that ball feel better. Rockets need a basket. They've got to start stringing some baskets together. Rafer will try again. Rafer hits again. Back-to-back baskets by Rafer Alston. And the Magic lead 51-49. 4:08 left to play in the third period. Francis with another jumper. This time he misses. Juwan with a rebound. One of the rare occasions where the Rockets will play the Florida teams back-to-back. Play Miami next to start a 5-game road trip. Derek Anderson with a miss, and the ball comes right back to him. Into Yao, point-blank range, and he missed the shot. Yao Ming now 4 for 12 from the field.
I don't see Yao miss that shot very often,
No, because he always finishes in the top in the percentage leaders, field goal percentage, around 55 to 60% every season. He's struggling tonight.
Yes, he is. And I think this game is imperative because they go on the road for the East Coast wing.
Stevenson draws the foul. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Yao Ming was called for his third foul of the game. What Jeff Van Gundy is arguing is that Yao had his hands up, straight up in the air, but contact was made.
One would have to argue that it's hard to commit a foul with both hands straight up in the air. And when you're 7'6".
Stevenson, after playing in Orlando, came over to, or Utah, came over to Orlando in exchange for Gordon Giricek. And Jerry needed a two-guard who could shoot, so he wanted Giricek, and they needed a big, strong guy in Stevenson. You know, when Keon Dooling comes back, he and Jameer Nelson, that point guard position is going to get crowded, and I guess that's when they're going to try to move Steve over to the two-guard a little more.
That would not be a bad option because Steve is big enough to play the two. And he scores and he rebounds well. At 6'3", he can play the two easily, Bill.
He wants the ball in his hands. He's such a good driver. He wants the ball in his hands. The clock runs down. Nice pass to Yao. He's fouled. He'll shoot two. Yao and Stevie are real good friends. And Steve took a little ride then. 2:53 left to play as the Rockets take a timeout. 53-49 Magic. Orlando up by 4 with 2:53 left to play, and it's time to check on tonight's AIG Big Man Watch. And you can pick out Tony Battie or Dwight Howard. Yao Ming having trouble. He's got 10 points, but that's come on 12 shots. 4 for 12 for Yao.
Having a tough time of putting it in the basket, but nevertheless, I like the shots that he's taking. His selection has been great. We just got to get him to go down.
And Yao Ming will be shooting the free throws now, and Houston has no attempts in this half. Orlando 6 for 7, so Yao will have the first free throws. The Rockets have only been to the free throw line 7 times. What's that indicate to you now?
7 times mean that they're settling for the outside jumpers, Bill. I'd like to see them be a little bit more aggressive, take the ball to the basket. As obvious, they're big guys in foul trouble. Maybe we can get some of those guys out of the game.
So Yao gets both free throws now, and the Rockets are 9 for 9. They just need to get there more often. 10 of 16 for Orlando. Jameer Nelson in the game now, point guard. David Wesley will guard him. Francis moves over to the 2. Nelson will shoot the jumper from outside, misses, and Austin with the rebound. Austin, Juwan Howard, Yao Ming, Derek Anderson, and Wesley in the game. Back outside, David. And he missed.
We're getting good looks, Bill. We just got to get him to convert them. Just keep shooting it, and sooner or later, we'll knock those down.
I'd rather it be sooner.
You and I both.
Dwight Howard. Nelson swings the ball to Stevie. 3 on the shot clock. Francis on the miss. Austin.
Stevie's excited to watch him. Sometimes I think he adds a degree of difficulty to simple shots.
You got that right. That was really a tough one. There's Garrett going baseline, sets up Raper. Raper on the hesitation, off the glass. Now tips it, and Kassoun with the rebound. I didn't know if Mario Kassoun would play, a 7-1 out of Croatia. And underneath, good foul on Howard. Make him shoot the free throw. So Juwan fouls Dwight.
Howard and Howard, as you called them earlier.
Yep.
A little bit of difference in their careers.
Well, it is, but not too much difference in the salary. Juwan got that big contract, remember? I think, what was it, Miami? I think Pat Riley gave him the big money, and then Washington had to top it to keep him, and they did. So he's still working on that.
He's still working on it. I think it's he had a 7-year contract, over $100 million.
Oh, it was 9. It might have been 7.
It's been a while.
Dwight Howard is going to get one of those contracts eventually.
He's definitely in the running. All he has to do is continue to progress the way he has.
And he hits both free throws. He looks a lot more comfortable at the free throw line than he did last year.
I like the fundamentals of his shot. I think he'll eventually get that to about 70-75% from the line.
Another team comes on Yao. Yao pins his man inside. He missed the layup. Oh, my goodness. He was right there at the lip of the cup. Boy, that thing has a lid on it. Yao is really frustrated. Look at it. He's got Kassoun pinned.
That's point blank, Bill. It doesn't get any easier than that for Yao. But I like the shots again. He's taking great shots. On nights like that, Bill, I would finally resign myself to putting them in the basket Guy Lewis style by stuffing the basketball.
Now, tell me the truth. Luther Head comes in. Tell me the truth. When you sit here and watch two teams, one shooting 39%, the other 37%, do you think I could still play? Do you say to yourself, Clyde, I can still play?
Oh, there's no question I could. The problem is will. The thing is, as you get older, the biggest thing to do is to recover. So you can play a great quarter or a great game, but the next morning, I'm going to need 3 people to get me out of bed.
Good pickup by Wesley. 5 on the shot clock. Back outside, Stevenson with a long 2, misses. Rebound, John Barrett. Barry's got Wesley on the wing. Gives it up to Luther Head. Head sets up Wesley. Wesley, get in there, but he can't get it to go, and the Rockets can't buy a basket. They're getting some good looks, they just can't shoot. 38% shooting by Houston, even worse, 37% shooting by Orlando. Stevie from the corner, he misses. You know, if the Rockets could make about 3 or 4 baskets in a row,
they could take a commanding lead.
Yeah, anything commanding. Now that's going to go in. Oh no.
That's a surefire omen.
You know, it's like a pitcher trying to throw a strike. You can't throw it. And I think the Rockets are aiming instead of shooting.
You got to let it go. Let it fly.
8 seconds left to play in the quarter. Let's get this one over with. And blocked by Yao17p. So the Rockets will have the basketball with 1.9. I think they need to get it to John Barry and shoot a half-court shot. That'll probably go in.
A little mix-up here, Bill.
Well, they pointed that it was Houston's ball.
I think the Orlando Magic players are in disbelief.
Yao blocked it
with his elbow.
Now they're going to give it back to Orlando. Now you have to guard against a quick one of those blind passes. Terrence Morris will bring it in. He's a pretty good passer on this inbounds play, so don't give up the sucker basket.
That's Yao17p's 4th block of the game.
Stevenson got a good look, and he missed, of course. Well, Orlando wins the quarter, but only 17-13. That's a franchise low for the third quarter. With 7 points against New Orleans, and the Rockets get only 13 here. Well, the Rockets were 5 of 15 in the third quarter. Orlando was 4 of 18 for only 22% and yet gained the lead.
Whew. It's early, Bill. We're in the most important quarter of the NBA game.
Well, Swift is in there along with Luther Head, Wesley, Barry, and Dikembe Mutombo. Swift trying to take the shot up. It bounces across. That's been the story of the Rockets for the last 2 games. Swift will go to the line to shoot 2. Howard is called for the foul. Swift in 13 minutes in the first half had 6 points and 5 rebounds. He looked pretty active.
He looked good. He was making his shots. Very active on the boards and intimidating down low.
He looks to me like he may be thinking a little more rather than just reacting. I think a new system he's come into, trying to play defense and learn where to be.
It's always an adjustment period when you go from team to team. For a guy like Swift, everything is instinctive. You don't want him thinking too much because his game is so quick and so accurate.
You know what Yogi Berra said, you can't think and hit at the same time. I think that might have something to do with shooting. Dwight Howard has the ball stolen. Wesley. Luther Head created the turnover, and Wesley came out of there with the ball. Oh, you want Luther Head to be aggressive, don't you?
Absolutely. Luther Head makes things happen. He is not afraid. Once he steps out of bounds, and that's
got a little shove.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, got a little bit of a shove to get him out of bounds. So the turnover, that's 10 turnovers by the Rockets, so they've done a pretty good job of protecting the ball.
Just make a shot. But Luther Head, I like his investment. He'll make something happen on both ends of the floor.
Morris. Good catch by Stevenson. Turns that corner back to Jameer Nelson. Gives him interior defense. And that's going to be an air ball. The Rockets play 24 seconds of D.
Good defensive possession.
These two coaches, you can see the frustration on their faces. They've tried everything they know, and the ball just won't go in the basket. It's 55 to 54, Clyde. We're starting the fourth quarter. Swift takes it to the middle, puts it up off the back of the iron.
The defense is picked up. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of defensive intensity. That certainly leads to more missed shots on the offensive end.
The team misses. Over to John Barry. Barry pulls up. Yes. That's Barry's equivalent to a fast break layup. He just gets it down and shoots a three.
As I said earlier, he's got to be more aggressive in looking for his shot. He's not on the court to be a passer.
Well, that's 6 points. John has both of his baskets are three-pointers. Kassoon working on to Kimby, and there's another turnover. Up to John. John turns the corner behind the back to a crowd of blue jerseys. I don't know who he thought he was going to pass that through. Man. There were four Magic players standing all huddled together. No spacing. Here's another miss.
He hit two of the Magic players on the back with the basketball.
John Barry to the basket and on the pass off. He is fouled on the play by Batiste. This is one of the weirdest games. That's a fifth foul on Tony Batiste. So we're going to have a timeout. You know, the Magic are shooting only 33% in this game and trail by only 2 points. You would, most of the time, if you tell Brian Hill that he'd shoot 33%, he'd think he'd be down 10 or 15 points.
Especially on the road.
But it's still anybody's game, and we have a timeout with 9:22 left to play. Right here, the Rockets need to make a closing push. Yao Ming and Juwan Howard will watch from the bench. So far, this group of Wesley, Barry, Swift, Mutombo, and Luther Head, this group has outscored Orlando 5-0 to start this quarter. But Steve Francis is back in the game. Luther Head got inside, back to John. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Wesley. Barry leans in, and he's fouled. He'll shoot two.
That's what you want John Barry to do. Put it up. Put it up.
That old body's starting to get bruised and sore, and we're only in the third game of the season. As John's spending a lot of time in that training room now, but he plays very physical, doesn't he?
Very physical. He never shied away from contact, and every time he shoots it going to the basket, he's looking to draw the foul.
Good free throw shooter. And he'll have two here. That's 3 team fouls on the Magic now with 9:06 left to play in the fourth quarter. Soft touch.
He doesn't shoot him underhand like his father does.
But that was automatic. Rick Barry was one of the best free throw shooters in the history of the NBA. Little light pressure by Houston. 4-point Rockets lead. Biggest lead for Houston has been 6 points. The biggest lead for Orlando, 4. Neither team, even when it got the lead, was able to string any baskets together. And Steve's back in the game. They had him out. When they had Steve out, Orlando gave up 5 points in a row.
They could not score. Steve has been their offensive spark tonight.
You take him out of the game, they can't score. McGrady's out of the game for Houston. Luther Head. Orlando's ball with 8:33 left to play. 59-57 to Houston. Mike Francis operating without the ball. Stevie hits again. Now, some scouts said he'd have trouble being a two-guard because he didn't shoot the ball well enough. Well, tonight, he's 11 of 23. That's good enough.
Stevie could play any position, point, two, because he knows how to play this game.
John Berry to the basket, and he draws another foul. He'll shoot two. Talk about know how to play the game. Probably in a foot race, John might beat out Mutombo and Kassoon, but anybody else out there he'd have trouble with, but he does have that good first step.
It's a great first step, and he has a nose for the game. He's going to the basket, hook or crook there, and of course the big guy, Kaysen, comes over and commits the foul. But notice, John is looking for someone to run into there.
Well, that's right.
That's a smart play.
When you get under that basket, look for contact.
Because he knew sooner or later he was going to run out of hang time.
You said that, not me. Hang time. There's double team on the ball. Francis working on Wesley. Good defense by David. Ooh, good travel by Francis. Not tall. Stevie. Tough shot. Kaysen gets the rebound, puts it up to Kimby. Mutombo says not in here, but T puts it up. He misses. Great interior defense by Houston, and here comes Luther Head out of the pack.
That's the presence of Dikike Mutombo.
Yep. Double team on Luther Head. Wesley missed it. And knocked out of bounds by Houston. Well, David Wesley's 0 for 4 tonight. And he had a tough preseason. And they have got to get him shooting the ball back where he has done for the last 12 years in the NBA.
He's coming off that knee operation. And once you've had a surgery, it affects all of your regular shooting rhythm. And he's having a little adjustment trouble, but I'm sure he's a seasoned veteran and he'll figure it out.
Nelson. 61-59, Rockets up by 2, 7:07 left to play in the game.
Might have been a travel.
Boy, it might have been. It was. There's a steal by Swift. John Berry. Giving it up to Wesley down the baseline, and David gets it out to Luther Head. Luther Head fires one up from the parking lot. Stevie working on Wesley, takes it inside, throws it up, he'll get 2. David Wesley, and he picks up his 4th foul of the game. Steve Francis will be at the line where he's missed his 2 free throw attempts. So Kaysen did not stay in the game very long, but T is in there along with Dwight Howard. 3-time All-Star Steve Francis was voted on the team 3 years in a row while he was in Houston. Did not make it in the East last year.
That was quite a shock to me. You think going to the East, Steve's been a perennial All-Star in the West. Going to the East, nothing would change. But he did not make the team, Bill.
Steve has all 6 points this quarter for Orlando, so they had to hustle him back in there in a hurry, and it's tied at 61. Now back into the game, sets the pitch to John. John sets up Rafer Alston, and he missed the 3. It's 3 for 14 from behind the arc. Luther Head creates the ball on the floor, and Steve is tackled, and a jump ball. Steve said, "You're calling a jump ball." He said, "Man, you guys are all on top of me, but you're fair game when you're down on the floor."
I think Steve thought he had called for a 20-second timeout.
Oh, okay.
Orally.
Good play by Luther Head. Almost got that steal.
So he's yelling, but the officials can't hear him.
They couldn't hear him see him. It's hard to put that sign of the T with your hands when
you're trying to hold on to the ball with both hands. So he's yelling, "Hey, timeout, timeout." But the officials could not hear that.
Well, Steve at 6'3" is favored to win this jump. He's out-jumped a lot of 6'5" and 6'6" players.
He's a tremendous athlete.
Let's see what kind of toss he gets. And Luther Head was able to steal the tip, but
How can they say he stole the ball?
Michael Smith said he must have entered that circle.
Great anticipation by Luka here. Look at this. There's nothing illegal about that.
Pretty good, huh?
A heads-up play by
Turkaloo. And Nelson in the game. Turkaloo shoots a three, and of course it hits the shot clock.
He's got to be ice cold, Bill. He hasn't shot a shot in at least.
You know, Orlando is shooting 33% and tied at 61.
On the road against a good Houston Rockets team.
Rockets are shooting 36%. Now can't get open. Now he got it. Batiste behind him. Batiste in foul trouble. They go to John Barry. Leans in, blocked from behind, and is knocked out of bounds by John.
Great block from Turkaloo from behind.
John's frustrated because he wants you out to be able to hold his position long enough to get the pass. We have a timeout tied at 61. Game tied at 61 with 5:47 left to play, and the Rockets will be leaving tomorrow to take on the Miami Heat. That's a nationally televised game on Thursday night. Then move up the coast to New Jersey to take on the Nets on Saturday night, Sunday in Boston, and Tuesday at Minnesota, and another nationally televised game to finish up the road trip in San Antonio on the 17th. Now, Tracy McGrady is going to make the trip with the Rockets. He is not scheduled to play in any of those games, but he said he's starting to feel a little better.
Well, that's a wonderful sign, Bill, because on this trip it's going to be imperative. It would be wonderful to win this game and go off to that East Coast swing on a good note.
Stevie over Rafer Alston, off the glass for two. Steve Francis single-handedly giving Orlando the lead. He's got 27 points. That's why it's nice to have your superstar. Romile Swift, baseline jumper. Yao with the rebound. Lays it right back up and in. Yao Ming.
Got one to go down, Bill.
15 points for Yao.
I still think in that position you should dunk that. Don't give it a chance to go out. Go ahead and dunk it.
Trap on Nelson. Turkaloo looking for Steve. Wants that ball in Francis' hands. Francis gets the double team, has to give it up, but he gave it up to Turkaloo, and he missed it. And Yao had the rebound. It came right down into his hand, and he couldn't hold on to it. Now Steve will shoot a three. That's going to be way too short. Don't run off and leave the ball. Rafer Alston comes away with it.
Here's where the execution on the part of the Houston Rockets is going to be at utmost importance.
Now lays it up and in. He went right through the double team, and now they're going to Yao Ming down the stretch. Back-to-back buckets for Yao, 17 points. Trying to trap that ball, get it out of Nelson's hands. 65-63, Houston. Turkaloo to Francis. Francis leans inside, draws the foul from Alston. No basket. Foul on Rafer Alston. His second foul of the game. That's the second team foul on the Rockets. 4 team fouls on the Magic with 4:08 left to play. So the Rockets still have a couple of fouls to give. Swift on Howard. Barry chasing Stevie. There's Barry with a
steal by John Barry.
Give it up to Alston. Alston, it's 1-on-4 right now. Orlando did a good job of getting back on defense. They're going to go to Yao again. Yes, they are. And he's back to Alston. 12 on the shot clock.
The Rockets with 9 steals in this ball game, Bill. That's pretty solid defense.
4 seconds, and that's going to be a foul on Tony Batiste, and that is number 6 on Batiste.
He's played a wonderful defensive game, Bill.
I think it's interesting they're replacing him with Stevenson, so Brian Hill wants to go small here for the final 3:39.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get up and give it up way up for our crew. You don't need to feel too. Check it out.
Come coming down the stretch, and the Rockets leading at 65-63, 3:39 left to play, and it's how you finish in the NBA, Clyde Drexler. The Rockets were outscored 17-2 down the stretch by the young Hornets team, and tonight they're going to Yao Ming down the stretch.
Going to Yao, and he's producing, Bill. Unlike against the Hornets, he seems to be a little bit more refreshed. His legs are under him, and even though he struggled earlier, he's made his last 2 attempts.
Played 36 minutes, which is a lot of minutes for Yao against the Hornets. He's played 31 here tonight. Derek Anderson with 2 big free throws. Rockets are 17 of 18 from the free throw line for 94%. On the other hand, Orlando has missed 6 free throws for 70%. Got them both. Rockets now lead it by 4. Again, they're trapping that ball, Clyde.
Yeah, they're trying to take Orlando out of their rhythm, make them do something that they really is not a go-to move for them.
Down to Stevie, into the paint, back outside to Jameer Nelson. Nelson has to float one up and in. Well, point guards have been hitting that teardrop on Houston. Chris Paul hit a couple of killers down the stretch, and Nelson with a nice little teardrop there on that play.
Not considered a high percentage shot, but they're certainly getting them to go down, Bill. Kind of shot that drive coaches crazy.
Ray for Austin. Big shot from the outside with 5 on the shot clock. 69-65. Rockets backed up by 4. There again, the trap on Nelson. Cato's in the game to Francis. Looking for Howard. He posted up on Yao Ming. Taking it inside. Bumps off Yao, and a tough left-handed shot by Dwight Howard. 12 points.
For 1 minute, neither team could make a shot, and now they're making impossible shots.
Yeah, they're starting to execute. There's Cato fronting Yao Ming. Howard's coming over to help from the backside. Down to 9 on the shot clock. And a bounce pass kick by Steve Francis. They set the shot clock to 14.
This is the point of the game, Bill, where the Rockets have got to prove that they can execute. And if Yao doesn't have the shot down low, someone else has got to step up.
Usually that's McGrady, but of course he's out of the action now, so somebody else will have to step into his big shoe. Austin with a layup. Won't go. Swift tips it. Austin gets it back and lays it up and in. Tough inside play. I skipped the Malou. 71-67. Rockets back up by 4. Howard sets that pitch. Stevenson goes the opposite way. Stevie baseline. Sets up Jameer Nelson for a 3, and he hit it. Steve Francis with a beautiful pass. And it's a 1-point Houston lead. 1:42 left to play. Execution. Both teams executing well all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, the clear blue.
Cato fronting Yao. Eric Anderson sets up Ray for Austin, and we have an offensive foul call on Derek Anderson. Third foul on Anderson. Offensive foul is still not a team foul, so the Rockets still have a foul to give. The Magic are in the penalty. Steve Francis takes it right into Yao, back outside, Jameer Nelson again. Jameer Nelson hits again. The referees can't decide whether it's a 3 or a 2. Now they look, and they're going to call it a long 2, so that's 5 quick points by Jameer Nelson. He has been set up both times by Steve Francis. So after not being able to buy a basket, Orlando has converted on 5 of the last 6 possessions down the court.
And look at Jameer Nelson with confidence knock these shots down. He's a big-time player, Bill. And the Rockets have got to figure out a way to make every possession count down the stretch.
Well, Steve Francis, Clyde, has done the job tonight. He has 27 points, but in the last 2 possessions, he's passed off for a 3 and a 2 from Jameer Nelson. In this fourth quarter, Steve has 8 points and 2 assists.
He's looking pretty good. He's been the focal point of their offense, and now he's created enough for his teammates, and he's gotten them off to. They got a 2-point lead, Bill, with A minute 14 left in the game.
All right, now if you're Jeff Van Gundy, where do you go on this possession? Well, the officials got together, Clyde, I think, and changed that 2 to a 3, huh?
It looked close.
I couldn't tell myself, but if we can see it on the replay, let's see if we can see. Here's the pass to Nelson by Steve Francis. Was he behind the line or on it?
Oh, it looked like the right foot is on the line, just touching it. Oh, you see that right foot?
Yeah, and both referees said it was a 2 at the time. They both said it was a 2.
Van Gundy pleading his case.
.73-71. Well, Alston will bring it in. 2-point lead by the Magic. 1:13 left. Eric Anderson sets up Ray for Alston for a 3. And he misses. Rockets 3 for 15 behind the arc for 20%. Now you need a stop.
You need a stop, and you need some execution on the other end.
Almost a steal by Alston. Francis takes it down the baseline, back out to Nelson again. Nelson off the glass for 2. How did he hang in the air? And Yao Ming was sitting right there in front of him, and he shot it over Yao Ming. And Jameer Nelson with 8 points on his last 3 possessions. And that shows you why he was the most valuable player his senior year at St. Joe's. He led him to a 27-0 record his senior year and into the Elite 8. Tonight's Landry Signature Group player of the game is Steve Francis, who has 27 points and 5 assists. And those assists are big here down the stretch.
He's made some incredible clutch plays, and he's been the difference maker in this game.
Well, he's their superstar. And the Rockets trying to play without theirs, Tracy McGrady. And you can tell the Rockets are really struggling with Tracy's absence for somebody to step up big.
And it seems like there are guys who are willing, but they can't get the shots to go down, and so they lose confidence. The key is to keep putting them up.
Well, this has been a nice combination now. With Jameer Nelson in the game, you might say he's the point guard, and yet Steve, being the 2-guard position, has created the plays for Nelson. So really, it's kind of like a throwback to the old days when there wasn't a number 1 and a number 2.
They just have basketball players on the court. And as I said earlier, Steve is effective at the 2 or the 1. Just put him on the court, and he'll make things happen.
Well, he certainly played well tonight.
He's the player of the game because of it. I think he loves coming back to Houston, Bill, for some reason.
Remember that 17-2 run by the Hornets? Right now, in money time, it's an 8-0 run by Orlando.
It's like deja vu, but it's not over yet.
51 seconds left to play, 75-71. Rockets need to score here. They have to score here. Juwan Howard looking to Yao. There's Yao down in the paint. Jump hooks it up. Missed it. Well, through the first 2 games, the Rockets have been outscored by an average of 6 points in the 4th quarter, and it's happening again tonight.
And it boils down to making shots at the end of the game.
Jameer Nelson lost the ball. Out of bounds. Turnover. So the Rockets still 20 seconds left, but they've got to score. In order to have a chance, you have got to put the ball in the net. So Lutherhead will check into the game for Juwan Howard. It'll be Lutherhead and Rayford Alston, now Barry and Derek Anderson. Alston on the drive, lays it up and missed it. Unbelievable. ice it now with 2.4 left. Stevenson dribbles out the clock. Well, in the last 2 games, the Rockets have been outscored down the stretch 25-2. If you count Orlando and the Hornets.
And these teams are not powerhouses in the NBA.
No, this will be the first win of the season for Orlando. They came in here 0-3.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Tracy McGrady is out of the lineup. He does so much for this team that when he's not in the game, I think people are put into roles that they're not familiar with.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy said the team needed to step up and play harder, and I think watching the effort tonight has been there, Clyde. The effort by the Rockets is certainly there. It's just a lack of execution. When you shoot only 36%, you don't give yourself any chance to win.
And when Orlando was struggling from the field, that was a perfect time to pull away, establish a comfortable lead, but yet the Rockets were unable to do that, which kept the Magic in the game and gave them an opportunity in the last 3-4 minutes of the game.
1 out of 2 for Stevenson, and the Rockets will call a timeout with 1.5. And some people might say, why are you calling a timeout with a 1.5 seconds left and you're down by 5? Is there a 5-point play? Well, again, the inability to finish, Clyde. You got to have a finisher. Yao Ming struggled tonight again from the field. He was 6 of 15 for 17 points and 4 rebounds, but they tried to go to him down the stretch. But there's been the man of the hour. When Orlando's needed a big basket or a big pass, Steve Francis has made the shot. John Barry will bring it in. Moves ahead with a 3, and of course he hits it now.
A little bit too late, but nevertheless, tough game for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, Orlando ended the game on a 9-3 run in the last 2 minutes coming down the stretch, and that was the difference. Steve Francis leading the way with 27 points for Orlando, 12 for Dwight Howard, 12 for Stevenson, and Jameer Nelson had 10 big points coming down the stretch. Once again, the final score, Orlando 76, the Rockets 74.
Have you ever noticed how the Rockets play with something of a football mentality? They're tough-minded, defense first, and they like to establish the run to set up the pass. Well, maybe not that, but maybe they play like a football team because Jeff Van Gundy is good friends with Cowboys coach Bill Parcells. In fact, Parcells urged Van Gundy to meet with David Stern during the offseason to set the record straight and prove there are no hard feelings about the $100,000 fine during last year's playoffs. Van Gundy did admit to Richard Justice of the Chronicle that he would like a do-over. He will do it differently if the same situation comes up again. And I'm sure he would do tonight's game differently as well, although it started off with hugs and smiles. It's the Magic and the Rockets and T-Mac and Steve Francis present and accounted for, although T-Mac not playing. Second quarter tied at 28, and that's Stromile Swift. Rockets are up by 2. The franchise with a big game. Driving on Derek Anderson. He gets the hoop and the arm, and he's pumped up. The Rockets have a 1-point lead at halftime. Third quarter, more from the franchise against his old buddy Yao Ming. Another 3-point play. Magic up 3 after 3. Stevie Francis with 27 points and 5 assists on the night. Fourth quarter, back come the Rockets. John Barry pulls up and buries the 3. They were abysmal from behind the line, though. Just 4 of 16 on the night. Later in the fourth, Jameer Nelson. Oh, Jameer with the 3-point, and the Magic are down by 1. Next possession, another 3 by the former star at St. Joe's. Orlando up by 2, and more Jameer for our Whataburger play of the day. He hits the tough shot in the lane, off the window. The Magic take a 4-point lead. They finished this game on a 9-3 run, and that basically did the Rockets in tonight. The Magic get their first win of the season. The Rockets finished this homestand, just a 3-gamer to start the season, with a 1-2 record after the 2-point loss to the Magic tonight.
Bill Worrell and Clyde Drexler called the action tonight at Toyota Center. They join us now, and guys, of course, Jeff Van Gundy was not happy with his team's play down the stretch against New Orleans, and I can't imagine he's going to be thrilled with this tonight as well.
Well, it can't be, Dana, because the Rockets were outscored 17-2 down the stretch against the Hornets. They were outscored 9-2 down the stretch against an Orlando team. And as you said earlier, these are not teams that strike fear into your hearts, but it's been the guard execution that has killed the Rockets down the stretch, and tonight it was too much Steve Francis.
Steve Francis, Jameer Nelson, look at the play, isolation, Steve Francis. You know they're going to go to him. He's been their man all game. There he is with a nice jumper pull-up. Again, it was so successful the first time, it came back to it, and he knocks it down again. Now he's in his penetration mode. He penetrates, gives it to Jameer Nelson, who's wide open. He knocks down the open three, and now they're really rolling. Again, Nelson with the three. Might have been on the line, but they called it a three.
Yeah.
And this is a great move, individual move by Jameer Nelson with the hang time, makes a contact, and it's just great execution by the Orlando Magic, where the Houston Rockets fell a little bit short in that department.
One of your keys to the game was prevent the guard penetration by Orlando, and I know you had Steve in mind, but the Rockets couldn't do that. Now, how much we see that the Rockets miss Tracy McGrady, because at the end of these games, usually the ball is in his hands.
And everyone else, he does so much for this team because he's so special, but everyone else just seems a little lost when they have that ball in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. And of course, Yao Ming has been the focal point of that offense, but he's been unable to make shots in the last 3 or 4 minutes of both games.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough, Clyde, because now the Rockets go out on the road for a 5-game road trip, and they're all tough teams, and you're not going to have McGrady. You've got to figure out a way to get it done. This could be a tough month for Houston the way it's starting out.
This could be a tough month, but no one said we were going to go undefeated, and of course, it's a tough, long season, and we'll find a way to make it happen.
I like your attitude, always half full for the Hall of Famer. And let's go back to John and Dana.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Yeah, T-Mac out for up to 3 weeks, although it looks like he may get back a little sooner than that. We will keep our fingers crossed.
They're definitely going to have to find some offensive weapons with 8 of their next 10 games on the road.